want to get inside your brain for a little bit, because I just feel like, you know, what you have going on, I feel like the world needs to know more about DY. So before we start talking about the single, I would love to know a little bit about your background musically and everything else as far as life mission.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me here today. I really do appreciate it, brother. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. In terms of me and my background, wow. Okay. Um, I'm probably weird in the music industry in that educationally, I'm a lawyer with an MBA. I actually, yeah, it's kind of weird, man. I actually came out of school, went to work for law firms, and then found myself on Wall Street doing basically doing investment banking, you know, putting
Okay.
together deals and stuff for companies. Um, did that for a minute. It was good. And just, it's funny to say it this way, but it's true. My entry into the music industry was kind of the same that a lot of brothers do. Had to do with a woman.
Yeah.
So, you know,
All right. All right.
you know, trying to make that song to either get a woman or get a woman back. So in my case, it was trying to get a woman back. But it was a blessing. It was a real blessing because a couple of brothers that I knew from school, they were in the music industry, and they were like building their following and their place in the industry. Shout out to Bridge, you know, Eric Morales, Rodney Carter. And so being good friends with them, when they heard about the whole project of me trying to get this woman back, it started out as a poem. Come on, man. We've all written that poem to try and get that woman back.
Love letters, everything. I get it.
Absolutely. So because I have friends that were in the music industry and had access to recording equipment and so on and so forth, the poem turned into a song. The song turned into an album. And like I think we did 13 tracks. And so that was my introduction. And you know, I don't know if people have felt this, but it's almost a magical, mystical sort of thing. When I walked into the studio for the first time, it just felt right. Like you're home. It was almost like you hear those like angels singing, like
oh yeah,
you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's like it's kind of crazy. So but you know, every since that very first time in the studio, it calls me back, and it's the place that I'm just incredibly comfortable. And so, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed to meet like a bunch of different people in the music industry, and divine intervention. Let me be very clear. It's played a large part in my success, in the opportunities that I've had, in that just knowing the right people. Like one of my other close friends is a music industry attorney. And so he started out at Bad Boy many years ago, and he's still in the industry. And, you know, shout out to Jan Walden. You know, he started out working with some of the top producers in the game and still does, as well as like Cardi, or he's working with Rockwilder. He's working with Timberland. So he's, you know, all of them either have been or are clients of his. Also, shout out to Charlemagne. So, so him being able to introduce me to those folks have, you know, given me opportunities to work with them on different things. Then, you know, again, you know, divine intervention. A lady I knew from a whole different walk of life, she introduced me to Angelo Ellisby and Kevin over at Double Exposure Media, the PR firm. Shout out to them because they're amazing. We'll probably talk about them a little bit more later. So
absolutely.
it's you know, it's been really a lot of divine intervention, a lot of hard work without question, but you know, just a fair amount of divine intervention. Just, you know, being able to meet the right people who can, you know, sort of point you in the right direction, introduce you to other folks. So it's been a journey, but it's been a good one. It's been a good one.
You mentioned that once you got into the studio started working, it felt right. It was one of those moments where it just felt like you've been doing this all the time. Like you
Yeah.
have that 30, 40-year vet in you that once you got there, it was. Um, do you think it was your love of music, or do you feel like, you know what, you mentioned divine intervention, but um, you know what, let's go spiritual. God probably said this was probably where I should have been anyways, right? And music has a way of getting that out of you though, right?
I think it does. I think it really does. It's, you know what? I think music is one of the, if not the most powerful medium, because it can, it can alter your mood today. It can take you back to, 20, 30 years ago. Like, we all have that song that when you hear it, it
Yeah.
immediately takes you back to that one space, or it takes you back to that person. And it's amazing because when it does that, you really feel like you're back there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so, and I think that's just the most amazing thing. So yeah, in my case, it felt like that was where I was always supposed to be. And it was, again, I gotta shout out Rodney and Eric, Rodney Iceman Carter and Eric Morales, because they knew what they were doing in the studio, because they'd been there before, and they had, they were putting out like really great songs and so on and so forth. I was the new person, but I heard stuff in my head. So I had ideas and I didn't know how to communicate it to them.
Right.
And so I really have to thank them, because they were patient with me. They worked with me to help get my ideas onto the tracks, or at least they did for the first few weeks.
Yeah.
After a while, they were like, "You're killing us, man. You're killing us."
It's you now.
It's like,
right.
But in retrospect, they hung in there with me far longer than they had to, but we came up with some really hot stuff. I mean, all three of us still to this day, and that was what, 20 years ago.
Wow.
We still listen to like some of those first tracks, and they've stood up. They've stood up over time. So, it was. I don't know if in fact, I know I've never had that feeling anyplace else in terms of, yeah, this is where you were meant to be. So, yeah, so it's divine intervention, brother.
Yeah.
Divine intervention. So
divine intervention. This was something that D.Y McDaniel was born to do. Do you consider yourself a late bloomer as far as realizing that this was what I was meant to do and or be?
A late bloomer. Yeah, I would have to think so. Realistically, I would have to think I was a late bloomer. But I also think that everything happens in its time, So let's say I'd come to that space 10 years earlier. But I didn't know the people who could have helped me bring that vision together. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think I'm a late bloomer in terms of the age that a lot of people enter the industry, but I think it was just the right time for me, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. I see myself that same way. Like you have a love affair with music. It's going to stay with you forever. Your memories is just like a timeline, what do you call it? A time capsule where you can be able to put on a record, you can go backwards, and you can live in that moment for 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever the length of time of that song is. But you can repeat it over and over and over again. So I get it. But also I understand where you're coming from when it comes to just trying to figure it out. I mean, I kind of consider myself a late bloomer as well, but to your point, perfect timing, because if you're a little older and wiser now, so a lot of stuff that you wish you could have did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever. nah. I'm glad I'm doing it now, because I may have messed it up 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Or it may have imploded to the point where it would have been a super turnoff for me. So I get where you're coming from. So tell me about the single that's available, right? Tell the listeners
Yes.
a little bit about it.
You know what? And again, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today, because you know, and I like the way you worded it. You said, you know, it was divine intervention, because you know, I was born to be here. And you know what? If that's true, and I believe that it is, I think definitely to some part, or maybe even large part, the reason I'm meant to be here is because of this single. Um, this single, Choose Life, is so incredibly important to me, because like I've done a lot of tracks with a lot of people and stuff, and it's always great when people come back and go, yo, that song is hot, that's blazing, da 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 da.
Right.
This song is different though, in that people have come back and said, yeah, that song is hot, but they say something different, and they say something that I think is in a large part more important. They go, that song is hot. People need to hear that song. And it's crazy, but like the probably the first 10 people that I played the track for that had nothing to do with the actual production of it, just like, you know, folks that I know, friends and, you know, acquaintances, so on and so forth. Out of that first 10 people, no joke, at least 7 of them said that. And these were different people, different places, different times that said, yo, people need to hear this. And honestly, I think that's when it started to hit me, right? In terms of the possible significance of this track, that it was more than just a nice track. You see what I'm saying? So, and how that came about was a couple years back, I guess maybe 3 years ago now. A very close friend and a business mentor of mine, who seemed like he had the world on a string. You know, he committed suicide, and because this was a business mentor of mine, someone that I aspired to be, frankly, it really threw me for a loop. Because when you, like, and it took me a minute to figure it out, quite frankly, but I had to sit back and go, wait a minute, why is this bothering me so much? I mean, yes, he's a friend of mine, and you know, I'm sorry that he's gone. But even beyond that, it was like, wait a minute, I aspired to be this dude, and he committed suicide. So what does that mean, you know, in terms of like what my personal aspirations are? So it really hit me. And in a way, I mean, you know, my heart goes out to him and his family. May he rest in peace. And his family are like the greatest people in the world, right? So my heart hurts for them. I guess for me, one, because it hit so hard, it wasn't just the loss of a friend. It was, I had to study and try and understand this. It was something like really pushing me inside, and maybe it's the divine intervention again, but something pushed me to learn more about, like, why would a person, you know, in their own life? And as I started researching it and trying to understand it, it was actually terrifying, because the information that I learned was that, like, in the US right now, every 12 minutes someone kills themselves. But even when you dig a little deeper, for every one person that actually is successful with committing suicide, 5 other people attempt it. So when you break down those numbers, that's 6 people every 12 minutes. So 1 every 2 minutes. I mean, that is a terrifying number when you think about it. That's the first thing. Second, and this hit me because I'm a father to 2 young daughters, you know, 1 10 and 1 14. The leading cause of death for kids 18 and younger is suicide. I mean, like, that terrified me. I mean, as a human being, that terrifies me. As a father, it terrifies me. And so, you know, because I'm honestly, I can't get my head around this. Like, you're just starting to live your life. You haven't had a chance to live your life yet. I mean,
you haven't lived it yet.
Yeah, you haven't lived it yet, and you sitting there trying to figure out how to end it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the that was huge for me. So the more I started getting into this, the more it scared me. It definitely affected me as a father, and the things that I do with my daughters, and how I talk to them, and things I try and teach them, and so on and so forth. But what really triggered the song was, and I live in the New York City area, so like at the beginning of 2022, the former Miss USA, Chelsea Chris, she committed suicide.
Yep.
And that was a trigger for me, because the night that she killed herself was the night that I wrote, Choose Life. As soon as I heard about it, it was something that just really hit. And I sat down and I wrote the song. And it was, again, the divine inspiration in that I'm known for writing songs quickly. Okay. But this song was ridiculously fast. I mean, from beginning to end, the chorus, the melodies, everything. I think it was like 45 minutes. Which is for folks who create songs and stuff, that is ridiculously fast. So I honestly, and this sounds, I don't know, corny to say, but on this song, I really truly believe I was just sort of the vessel. Honestly, I think if we could give them ASCAP credit, God gets the credit for this one, because almost every word, and I do mean this literally, almost every word in the song is purposeful, right? There's not a lot of fluff in the song, and it's a very upbeat song, because that was important to me. I really, when I paired it with the music, I really wanted an upbeat song. I didn't want a slow funeral dirge sort of thing. I wanted a song that people could all right, I'm kind of feeling this sort of thing. And that's exactly what it is. But every lyric is purposeful. So when I say, don't use a permanent solution for temporary problems. Well, that's exactly what suicide is. It is a very permanent solution. Again, to the kids, most of them have not lived long enough to know that most problems that we have, even though it may feel like it's going on forever, they really are temporary. And the line that I put in there about don't when things get rough, don't cave into the pain. Hold on, things will get better again. Well, that's true. And it's hard. It's like most things in life. It's harder to do than to say, but it is important to do. I talk about in the song, protect your mental health. Talk to people. Right now there's a stigma in our society, especially within the Black community, about talking to people, getting help, and there really shouldn't be, because COVID did a number on a lot of people.
No doubt.
Black wine, greed of purple, whatever.
Yep.
But it especially did a job on us in terms of mental health and so on and so forth. So it has actually been encouraging to see that there has been more mental health awareness out there. But this song, I'm really hoping that it'll help normalize those conversations a little bit. So, or maybe be like a starting point to conversations.
And I think that the conversation should be quantified in such where people should understand that it's like you said just a little while ago, it's okay to have these kinds of conversations, because I look at it like this: when you have a song like this, and I'm just giving you my perspective, not just a broad Nexxlegacy radio, this is the DJ and I'm gonna tell you about this song and stuff like that. Nah, like real honestly, you know how sometimes you listen to gospel music, and sometimes I don't know if you listen to it to the point where you're searching to shed a tear or cry about whatever it is, whatever that gospel song comes on. I don't care if it was upbeat, a little, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, it's gonna hit you, right?
Yep.
This song did it, And I started thinking
Thank you.
just about life and how much, like, my perspective is I'm put on this earth to serve, right? But there's a lot of people out here that don't look at it. They look at it way different than you and I.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's your life does matter. It does at the end of the day. And if it matters, it's okay to talk about steps that you need to make or take in order for you to just evolve and get better, because we're not here to live stagnant. We're here to evolve as you go and grow. I don't care how old you get. I don't care if you're in your 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond that, you're still growing as you get older. And a lot of people don't look at it like that. So I take a listen to this song, not just to listen to it, I hear it. And when I hear it, it struck a chord in me, man, to the point where I'm like, man, just, it's inspirational, but so deep. And it got to the point where it was gospel deep. And I was like, man, come on, man. I don't want to cry right now. I'm not trying to do that.
Oh, man.
It did, and it got me.
Brother, I appreciate you saying that. I really do. I honestly, genuinely do. This song, it really, it's meaningful and it's purposeful.
Yeah.
So, I love your takeaway. I really do. And quite frankly, I also love your philosophy about life. As I listen to you, I'm like, it kind of struck me that it was kind of something, I think it was Denzel that said it, where he said, if you're the same person that you were 20 years ago, that you just wasted 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's on point with what you were saying. So I love that. With this song, I hope and pray people can take something away from it. Whether it's, the fact that, I learned this through working with the Advocate Recovery Network, which is who we partnered up with the song. And again, shout out again to Double X Exposure Media, Angela Ellisby and Kevin Goins, because they helped create the concept. In fact, they helped finalize the concept and really bring it to life. The partnering up with a network of people who are like, it's a suicide prevention network. And so, a portion of the proceeds and stuff will go to them, to the Advocate Recovery Network, and they do some great work over there. And, they've also been very educational to me, because one of the things that I learned from them is they said most people who attempt to commit suicide or who are eventually successful committing suicide, they always feel so alone.
Right.
They see the world, or the way they view the world is they're alone in the world. And so that's why it's so important to get out there and talk to people. So, and that's what you were saying, like, don't hold it in. Don't think that you're the only person that's going through this, because we're not.
Exactly.
Like in the song, it says we all have good and bad days. And we do. I mean, we all have ups and downs. I don't care who you are. You have ups and downs. You gotta, don't cave into the pain. Hold on, things will get better again. And so that was meant to be uplifting and hopeful, and to try and help folks have a different perspective on things. Yeah. But I think what's most important is just understanding that you're not the only person that's going through it. So if other folks can go through it and make it through, you can do the same thing. Yeah. And I think that's really important for kids these days, because, again, being a father, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, the things that kids go through, and like social media and online bullying.
Yep.
That's insane to me. It really is. Like when I was growing up, and maybe you had a similar experience, most people got bullied in some way, shape, or form, right? I'm a big dude now. I'm the size of your prototypical NFL linebacker.
Yeah.
So that bullying stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But when I was younger, I hit a growth spurt late. So I was a short, fat kid. So yeah, I got bullied and stuff. And so, you know, what was the thing that your mom or your dad told you? Well, you know, if they keep doing it, punch them in the mouth. And, you know, that bullying stuff will end. And that's exactly what I did. I punch people in the mouth, and then they go bully somebody else who was not as likely to punch them in the mouth. Okay, well,
or they got the message when you stood up for yourself and changed it up and stopped doing the bullying because it's happened before.
We'll see. Absolutely. But see, you know, whichever way it played out, we could do something about it. See, these kids now, this is a whole different level.
Oh yeah.
They're getting bullied like 24 hours a day, number one. Because then that was another thing. When we were younger, if you were getting bullied at school, when you got home, you had a break from it. Or if you were getting bullied around the block, when you went to school, you had a little bit of a break from it. These kids are getting it 24 hours a day because it's coming online, and they can't put these phones down or the tablets down or whatever. So it's 24 hours a day. Number two, our bullying was localized. You know, it was that one jerk that happened to live on the block, or he was from, you know, a couple blocks over or whatever.
Yep.
These kids are getting bullied from, you know, you live in New York, you got somebody in Scandinavia saying something about you. So, you know, which is crazy. So, like, that's insane to me. It really is. And so, like, the second verse of the song talks about that. Like, you know, don't harm yourself over someone who won't even give you their real name.
Right.
Like, you know, come on. This is this is real, unfortunately. And it's scary to me as a parent. I mean, you know. So, but
listen, man, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and the growth that I know that she has compared to how we grew up, man, we took survival skills, going to school, coming back home, hanging out with your friends. You know, those days of, you know what, I'm not going to go back to the house unless either I was hungry and wanted to go get lunch, or we didn't have lunch at the house, so I had to just go find lunch somewhere. You know what I mean? Or and we had to come back home before the lights went out. So it was the street lights, so it was a whole different way of survival that we had, which is way different than what these kids are going through right now. And I hear you talk, and also think about, you know, clearly Choose Life single is available now. People can go and grab it and really dig in and just dig deep. But going back to what you said, I'm thinking about, was the guy Twitch, and then there was a guy who he was a TikTok creator, 21 years old, who committed suicide. There's a few different storylines throughout our lifetime, not just in person. Maybe the homie down the street or around the block that may have committed suicide, but you hearing these stories about other people that is using social media. And I always look at it like this: social media should be used for good, not for evil. But there's a lot of people behind these computer walls who are adding on to it. We're falling for the okie doke, many different ways, and spreading this kind of awareness is going to be essential for this particular generation. Do you agree?
Well, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. You know, like you said, social media, people falling for the okie doke. I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with my daughters, or, you know, with their mother about, you know, looking at social media and allowing that to affect your views on your own life. Like, you know, like we've been blessed. I'm not going to kid you. We've been blessed. But, you know, they still sit around and go, well, you know, I'm looking at this, that, and the third, da 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 da. Well, we live in a very nice house. Well, why don't we have a bigger house? You know, like we drive expensive cars and stuff, and we've been blessed to do so. Why don't we drive even more expensive cars? Why don't we own more cars? Like, it's like, are you kidding me? You know, and the crazy part is, we all know that most of that stuff is fake. I mean, you know, the example I always give is, like probably for every, well, no, I won't say every, because I'm about to get all sorts of stuff coming through DMs and all kinds of emails and stuff. So I won't say every, but you know, we all know that some of those women out there that's going, oh, look at the 5 dozen roses my man just sent me. Well, she ain't telling you that the reason she got them 5 dozen roses is because she caught him in bed with her cousin. Or like she sent those roses to herself. Or, I mean, come on, stop. Like,
yes,
you know, the other, what was it? Maybe 2 weeks ago. I walked out of a building in New York City. This lady was like leaning on my car, taking selfies on my car.
wow,
And I pointed that out to my daughters, and I was like, now see, this is exactly what I'm telling you. Now, she's gonna put that on the gram, and it's gonna be like, yo, da 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 da. You know, she's taking pictures on your father's car. Like, don't believe everything you see out there.
That's
and
right.
At the very least, don't believe everything that you see to the point where you start feeling bad about your life.
Exactly.
I mean, and see that's where it becomes dangerous, because you got these people, they're looking at all of this, and they're constantly being bombarded with, this woman is on this car, this woman's getting flowers, this woman is with this piece of jewelry, this woman is doing this, and by the way, this is not all females, obviously, because guys are doing the same thing. On both sides of that camera. And then they start feeling bad about themselves, and then they start going, well, wait a minute, well, my life sucks. Well, it's like, no, your life doesn't suck. What you're seeing is they're only showing you the positives of their lives. And so you're sitting there looking at a distorted perception of reality, i.e. only the positives, but you're sitting here actually living through your negatives as well.
Exactly.
And so your negative seems so much heavier because it's not being sanitized out. So, but in reality, come on, we all have good days and bad days. I mean, that's actually life. You know, we're gonna have ups and downs.
Good days and bad days, and you could be one day away from having a great day, or one bad day away from having an awful path, depending on what you choose to do, and choose to who you believe in as well. But if you get so enamored with social media, and we've seen it, I mean, you know, through my social media journey, using it as a tool, not for your personal life. I've seen so many people post stuff and put stuff out there that is exposing their personal business, and that creates a lot of people going back to suicide prevention. That creates a lot of trauma for a lot of people. When you put your personal business out there, that lives forever. That will be talked about forever. And that mental stress that both parties have, the person who leaked it and the person who's experiencing it, is going through their own whatever it is they're going through. But a lot of people don't realize and understand that has a backwards way of trying to do better. You know what, back in the day, right, DY, when you and I, probably same age, going through something, want to break up with your girlfriend, you had to either go over to her house, or she had to come over here, or we had to call her on the phone and we had to break up. Or getting back together, we had to go walk, talk, figure it out, do what we got to do, talk on the phone for hours, begging and pleading. Baby,
I was about to say begging and pleading.
Don't whatever, write letters, all that stuff. We had to do it all. But these people now break up, go through stuff, put their personal business out there for somebody else to either like or add on, pile on, I guess you could say. And to me, that has an adverse way of affecting both parties, really, at the end of the day. But at the same time, there is a huge problem with how we communicate in society, not just Black folks, but just in general, with what we do when we go about our business, personal life, relationships, all that. And all that people fail to realize that has a very bad way of people thinking about suicide when certain things happen. I mean, that's just real.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're 100% spot on. I mean, you know, I remember when I was a kid having this conversation with my grandmother, and she said, you know, if you're lucky, in fact, I wasn't actually a kid, I was in college, I think. And she said, if you're lucky, when you get older, you're going to have 5 real friends, right? She's like, if you're lucky, you're going to have 5 real friends. And I remember at the time, like, I was like, man, please. I was like, I got 50 friends.
Yeah.
And da 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 da. And see, one, let's be clear, my grandmother's passed on a long time ago, but she was right. If you're lucky, you got 5 real friends. You may have a lot of associates, you may have a lot of people that you know. And that's not meant to be a bad thing, right. But you know, you got 5 real friends if you're lucky. Well, I think, you know, Facebook, and I say this to people all the time, I think one of the most genius piece of marketing that I've ever seen is when Facebook named all the people that you're connected with your friends. See, because for whatever reason, that word hits people on a deeper level, and they start going, oh, these are my friends, so therefore their opinion should matter to me. And right. Like I'm watching not only kids, because let's be real, adults, people my age and older, out there putting stuff out there and counting the likes because those people's opinions matter to them. It's like, wait a minute, you don't know those people. Like, why should their opinion matter to you like that? I mean, on a very human level, we all want to be liked. I mean, come on, let's just be honest. We want to be liked. But I think, and this is just my own personal judgment, but I don't think craving the likes from, because I think I have like over 5,000 people or something like that on my Facebook page. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not an online person. Yeah. All of my accounts are managed by other people. I look at them every now and again, right. But I'm not like my daughters or like a lot of my friends who are on Facebook every day. Yeah. It's not my thing. So no disrespect to other people who it is their thing, but it's not my thing personally. But I do know a lot of people who put stuff out there just to get the likes. Like, you know, so a part of their self-worth is coming back from what they put out there like that. And maybe I'm dating myself or whatever, but to me personally, I want to be liked. I want, as an artist, I want my music to be liked by people and enjoyed and appreciated and so on and so forth. But I think it's dangerous to put all of your, you know, that intimate or those intimate details out there just so that you can get people who, in a lot of cases, you may never have even met. Yeah. Just to get them to give you a thumbs up. Yeah. I mean, and that's, as a society, I think that's dangerous. And yeah, it has led to people harming themselves because, you know, we all want to be liked. I mean, let's be clear on that. And I myself want to be liked like everyone else. So it hurts when you feel like you're not being liked or when you're not being appreciated. That's just human. But I think it's dangerous to need to be liked by people you have never met. Yeah. You know, the folks who have like 50,000 followers out there on Facebook or millions of followers out there on Instagram and so on and so forth. That's great. That's wonderful. And as long as it's all positive, that's great. But we also know that we live in, you know, sort of a cancel culture. Absolutely. You say the wrong thing and you get canceled. Quickly. Well, here's the thing though. If your entire identity is out there like that and you get canceled, what do you have left? That's right. You see? And so that's why I think it's really scary. Now, I admit, since I'm not the social media person, right? I'm out there in terms of like artistry and stuff like that, and because I guess no one, or it'd be very hard to not have some sort of online identity these days. So I'm out there from that perspective, but
right.
the but I still talk to my friends. Like I actually pick up the phone and I call my friends.
Yeah.
And I talk to them, and they tell me good things that's going on in their lives. I tell them good things that's going on in my life. They tell me bad things that's going on in their lives. I tell them bad things that's going on in my life. And see, those folks, when they come back and go, yo, that track kind of,
yeah,
that means something to me.
Yeah.
Or they go, yo, you know what? I heard your opinion on such X, Y, and Z, but I think you're wrong. Okay. Because I know you. We have a track record. I know who you are, so on and so forth. Kids these days, and I think you mentioned it before, they don't do any, or it's hard to get them to actually interact face to face.
No doubt.
Like when we were kids, our parents were like, yo, get out of the house.
Yeah, go out and play.
Go out and play.
Now I want to watch TV. Nope.
No.
Go outside.
Go outside. Go play.
Go outside.
So you went outside and you played and you dealt with people and so on and so forth. My daughters now, it's crazy. I bought a house and thank God, it's a very nice house through the grace of God, with a huge backyard, right? Because I'm thinking, yeah, the kids will be out in the backyard, they'll be playing and da-da-da. Man, my kids hardly ever go in the backyard. I'm like, how do I spend all this money for? It's but they're on their computers like this all day long and stuff. And I'm like,
play? What does play mean? Play with what? Play with who? Like, what is that?
Like, what is this?
Hey, DY, the analytics life that we live in right now is so crazy because you mentioned that, right? You mentioned social media, and to each his own. This is your path. You chose your path to stay away from, and there's a lot of artists who don't use it at all. They may have it up, but they don't use it, and that's cool. There's also people out there who lives on it, lives by it, whatever the case may be. And like you said,
I respect both.
And and the thing about it too, though, there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of businesses that want to look at the analytics of what it is that you got going on, how many likes that you have, what it is that you can't do business with me unless you have 10,000 followers or whatever the case may be, which is weird too, because you can buy that stuff. That's crazy. A lot of people don't understand that sometimes it's organic, but I think 99% of the time it's not. The 1% is those people who are supporting you, who will go to your venues, who will go buy your singles, who will, pass it on to others. That's the 1%. Everybody else is looking to see. There's been a ton of pictures, DY, where it's just like, you know what? And some of it's cartoon pictures where there's a crowd of people over by on one side of the thing, and there's somebody drowning, and somebody's taking a picture or taking a video of those people or whatnot. And that's clearly weird. And you and I know that because instinct is, you can swim. Somebody gonna get some help to help people, right? But we don't live in that era no more, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, you know what? I love that example that you just gave. I love that because that really speaks to the times. I saw something like that. What was it? It was not this Christmas past, but the Christmas. So what's that? Christmas of 2021. I was out and we were coming back from shopping. My daughters and I, we were coming back from shopping, and this lady had run off the road, right? Like I guess she had lost control of her car or whatever. And nobody stopped to help, right? Everybody slowed down and you could see people in their cars with the phones. Like,
yep.
And I was struck by that. And I even said it to my daughter. I was like, wow, this is the world that we live in now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it didn't occur to people to try and help make the situation better. It was only, yo, what can I get to put on the gram? And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I think that is a scary, sad sign of the times. I really do. You know, because at some point in time, you know, I don't think, or at least me, I'm only gonna speak for myself. Um, I would hope that my humanity is not defined by how many likes I get, or how many followers I have on Facebook or
Right.
Instagram or whatever. Um, you know, and God bless the dead. God bless the dead. Um, One of the I won't say scary. I'll say sad. I will actually say sad. A lady who's a close friend of my family. Um, she, a person who was very close to her, passed away, right? And because she's been so good to my family, and she's been so close to my family, I went to that other person's funeral to support the lady. Okay, I didn't know the person that had actually passed away. But because I'm so close to her, and the man was so close to her, like she said it was like her brother, right? So I went to the funeral to support her. This was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. Got to the funeral, no lie, there was maybe 15 people at the funeral, right? 12 of those 15 people, I know this because after the funeral, we were all standing outside surrounding this lady. So
Right.
12 of the 15 people at the funeral were there for the lady, which means three people were actually there for the gentleman that had died.
Yeah.
Now, I had never met the gentleman, and quite frankly, God's honest truth, right now, I couldn't even tell you that man's name. So I don't know how he lived his life or what the story was or whatever. But I gotta tell you, when I came home, I talked to my daughters about it, and I was like, how do you live your life such that only three people come to your funeral, right? Like, you know, God only knows how that situation happened,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they had a funeral the next day, and there was 30,000 people that came out for the man. I don't know. But the funeral that I went to, there was only three people there that mourned the gentleman. And so it goes back to what you said before, like, you know, the world that we're living in now, how do you not connect with enough people, or that you only connect with three people?
Yeah.
That's scary to me. It really is. Like, you know, I remember years back, you know, way back when there were actual magazines and things of such. You know, I think it was either Jet or Ebony magazine. The gentleman who was like the publisher, I think his name was Mr. Johnson or something like that.
Okay.
They had a picture on the cover when he passed away, and the streets were lined with people. I mean, it looked like 50,000 people were out there. It honestly, you know what it looked like? It kind of looked like, did you ever see those photos of like when Barack Obama was like his inauguration?
Oh yeah,
where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like a sea of people,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. That's the way it looked like. And so, you know, contrast those two images where you got one person, three people shows up at his funeral, and you got, you know, another person. It looks like a sea of the masses out there. And, you know, so somewhere we lost that, like that connection, that identity, that caring about people, such
I
that
agree.
you develop relationships with people.
I agree.
And that's gone, and that leads, honestly, I really do believe that kind of leads to how we get to this place where people do feel so alone that they want to commit suicide, that they want to take their own lives, because
Yeah.
you know, it's painful. I mean, you know, we're social creatures. So
it is the interesting thing you bring up, especially when you tell the story about the funeral and 3 people were there. It's DY funerals are a little different for me. It's you know, there's a different take on how I feel about it, because you can get 30,000 people there. It's just like having 30,000 Instagram friends too.
yes, that's
Are
true.
they really there for you? Are they there just to put on a suit or whatever and eat the food after the funeral? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different layers to it,
No, that's true.
where it
That's
can
true.
mean differently than somebody else. That, you know, somebody going to a funeral is just like, all right, let me go put on some good clothes so I can go to an event, and then after that, it's just done. You know what I mean? But
That's
on the
true.
flip side, and I'm just talking about my folks and generations. I'm not talking about any other, you know, I'm not talking about any other nationalities. The funerals are different because, man, it could be one big ass family reunion.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes their separate ways after it's all said and done. And
That's
it's just
true.
different, DY, because I look at it like this. Especially for me, when I go, that's why I always have it, man. I don't want a funeral. If you're gonna mourn me, do it in a way that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gathering together to do what, to do who, unless you were in that circle, should mean something to honor that memory or whatever the case may be. To each his own. I might be different than the most, but I've been around too many black funerals in my lifetime, man, to just be like, what are you here for? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And it's funny you say that, because as you said it, you actually reminded me. I was like, yeah, you know what? I have been to quite a few funerals that were kind of sort of family reunions. It
yeah,
was sort of like, yeah,
yeah.
you know, it's the only time you see folks, and yeah. So I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you.
And that's the breakdown too, because like I said, I think you and I came from that era where, you know, even going to family reunions was a good thing. Like, you
Oh
know, I
yeah.
know once a year, I know there's probably some people that's out of state and they're coming, and, you know, it's all love, but we still kept in touch. It was still
Yeah.
a good look to be able to just celebrate with your family prior to that annual family reunion,
Oh
right?
yeah.
In some cases, it used to be like that with my family back in the day, until we all just went this way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it used to be a thing until it didn't become a thing. And I think getting that back, when we
Like
go
they
full
said.
circle, when we talk about, like, you know, just being transparent and the want and need in order to help our next generation grow, be more involved. Like,
Well,
you're
yeah.
involved with your kids. I'm involved with my
So,
daughter. I know what the hell is going on every step of the way, because we have that communication, and it's
yeah.
important. Now, they may have their
Absolutely.
secrets, because, you know, we had ours. You know what I mean? But
No, I
it
didn't. No, I
wasn't
didn't.
so tragic to the point where it was a problem. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think there's a shift in how we not just parent, but how we hold a strong foundation family wise, that is
Yeah.
still necessary and needed. But not everybody's tough guys and girls. We have to be vulnerable in order for us to heal, grow, and move on. And that's actually helping out, you know, when it comes to suicide prevention as well. It's
Abs-
okay to be vulnerable. A lot
Oh,
of people don't
absolutely.
believe in that.
Absolutely. And you know what? Listen. Um. First of all, I think it's much harder to be vulnerable than it is to put on that tough person
Yeah,
facade.
yeah,
Um. So you know. So realistically, it'd be easier for everyone if they just let their feelings out. So that's the first thing.
yep,
Second, I agree with you 100%. You have to be vulnerable, so that you can grow. I mean, you know, the going through hard times. Listen, most of us, if we're being honest, the times that we've grown the most is when we have gone through a hard time.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it forced us to, you know, dig deep inside ourselves, or it forced us to take a look at something that we were doing or maybe not doing that we should have been doing. So it forced us to go through a change.
yep,
Um, like, you know, um, listen, I mean, come on. let's just be real. Let's just be real. I became a much better boyfriend because of the girlfriend that I lost. And it was like, you know what, all right, I'm not gonna do that stupid nonsense again. Or like, you become a better parent because and I work hard to be a parent, but I am by far, not a perfect parent. Right.
Of course.
There have been many times where I go back to my daughters and I'm like, you know what? I'm really sorry about what I said, or I'm sorry that I didn't say such and such at such and such a time.
Right.
Those are all learning experiences.
Yep.
And, I'm hoping that they're also teachable or teaching experiences for them, that it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to apologize for making a mistake. None of us, and I say this to my daughters all the time, according to the Bible or according to everything I've ever heard or seen or whatever, there's never been a perfect person that walked the face of this earth. And so, with the possible exception of Jesus, so that being the case, we know that we're not perfect. So it's okay to acknowledge that you made a mistake.
Exactly.
And, if you make a mistake, own up to it, be accountable, and move forward. And that's the way it should work, because, and this is my own personal belief, but I don't believe that you can learn from a mistake, grow from a mistake, unless you can acknowledge that you made a mistake. See, because if you just sit around and blame everybody else, well, if I'm blaming you, what that says to me, at least implicitly, is I don't have to do anything different.
Right.
I don't have to change anything because you were the cause of the problem.
Exactly.
Well, guess what? Come on now. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. You've been in any sort of relationship for a long period of time. I don't care if it's a sibling relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, a business relationship, whatever, right? You've been in any type of relationship for any long period of time, and I'm talking years here, whatever. Well, there's going to be conflict, right? There's always going to be conflict. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's going to be conflict, which is just basically defined as a differences of opinion, right? Okay, that's fine. Well, you've been in any sort of relationship for any length of time. In all of those conflicts, it can't possibly all be on one person in that relationship. Right. Come on now. We play a part, big or small, but we play a part. I mean,
you can inspire somebody to be humble, have a humble nature, whatever the case may be. But I mean, man, how many times in my lifetime have I been humbled? A whole bunch of times. A lot of people, they're just like, hey, you're not immune to being humble. It's okay if you take a loss or two or three. As long as you pick yourself back up, learn from those things and push forward. That's it. A lot of people understand that, but they don't want to feel that because, again, it goes back to being vulnerable. A lot of people don't want to feel like they're naked on an island because they're comfortable in their own surroundings with clothes on, and a lot of people around them that may like them give them thumbs up or whatever the case may be. But the reality is you're gonna be humbled eventually. If it's not now, it's later. If it's when you're in your teens, it'll be when you're in your 20s. If it's not in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and so on. But a lot of people don't get that, man, because it's just the way it works. So I'm hoping this. D.Y McDaniels, my guest on Nexxlegacy. And look, choose life. I'm going to get back to that. Choose life is important for people to get. Not just to listen to it, but be inspired by it. I think if anything, if you're going to listen to this song, I want you to hear it and be inspired, because you will. And I think it's important for people out there, not just today, but tomorrow as well. 10 years from now as well. 20 years from now as well. One thing I respect about you, DY, is the fact that you gave us a gem that will be generationally appreciated, because there's not too many songs. I mean, there's a whole bunch of songs. Like I said, when we go backwards, there's a whole bunch of songs. Hey, man, I remember this. I remember that. Hey, one thing that comes to mind just off the top of my head, Man in the Mirror. I don't know how many times
Yes,
I listen to
love
that
it.
song, look in the mirror, damn, what the hell do I gotta do to be better? You know what I mean? Like I get that. Choose
Yep.
life is gonna not just, and again, I'm coming from a not just a radio station guy, I'm coming from an actual, I'm gonna give you perspective on it. It's not just choose life is not just a song that's gonna, bob your head, make you think. It's also going to inspire. What can I do to help somebody? It's gonna make you feel like that after you're done listening to it. Because you're gonna start thinking about all these people out there that literally has an opportunity to choose life, even when they're on the fence and they're trying to figure out, like, man, I don't want to be here no more. Because for whatever reason, if it's family, if it's social media, if it's friends at work, coworkers at work, bullied all across the globe, they're gonna start figuring out, like, listen to this, man. I've dealt through. I can push through this. I got this. I can be able to be inspired to do better, because a lot of people don't understand their worth. DY, you were put on here to do something,
Well,
not just to sit back and do nothing. You know what I
this is,
mean?
man, brother. I hear you. And first, you talk about being humbled. I'm amazingly humbled to hear you talk about the track that way. And thank you, sincerely, thank you for saying those things. And from your mouth to God's ear, that people will listen to this. Hopefully, share it on their social media accounts. Do pass the word around, because, like I said, and I was being 100% sincere in terms of when I first did the track and I let people hear it, they were like, yo, people need to hear this song. So I hope people share the song and put it out there. We did a video for the song, and the video is incredibly powerful. The shout out to Daryl King out of Philly, who's the director of the video. He did an amazing job. Like, it's out there on YouTube, and I hope people watch it, because, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and he did an amazing job on the video. So it's, it's like you said, though, and just as an aside, you picked one of my favorite songs. Like, Man in the Mirror. That is an amazing
Hey,
song.
man.
That is an amazing song. But it's one of those sort of things where hopefully we can all make a difference. I mean, I quietly ask myself that periodically, like, yo, when you're gone, will you be able to, or will anyone be able to point to a difference that you made? Um, you know, what's that movie that they play around Christmas time? The Jimmy Stewart movie, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's that sort of thing. Like, and I would hope, because see, that's what I think is different. Like, when we were growing up, you aspired to be something, to make a difference, whether it was a fireman or a police officer or a lawyer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really hear those conversations anymore. Like,
Nah.
Asking kids, like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, I asked, honestly, my daughter, when she was very young, I asked her, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, rich. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. How you gonna get there,
That was,
though? What are you
yeah,
gonna do?
exactly. I
What
was
are you
like,
gonna
how you gonna
do?
get there? Like, it was a great, honest answer on a couple of levels. And it did open the door for us to have the conversations about substance and, like, focusing on being good at something, and the money
Yeah.
will come. But it also showed me that things were different. Like, kids aren't the same anymore, and people
Nah.
aren't the same anymore. I mean,
Exactly.
back in the day, because, like, let's just be blunt, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, right? I had a wonderful, amazing family, and they taught me values, and they taught me integrity, and they taught me the importance of hard work, but they didn't leave me a trust fund.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, but we dealt with things, and we learned things, and there was humanity. You know, a portion of my upbringing, in fact, a large portion of my upbringing, and I'm not ashamed to say this, was in the projects, right? And so it's really interesting to me that, you know, I started out there. I do have a bunch of friends who are millionaires now, but I'm not gonna lie to you. And with all due respect to the millionaires, and a lot of them are great people, and
Right.
they earn their own money. And so I'm not trying to take away from them, but I'm not gonna kid you. Some of the best people I ever met were like folks that I knew in the projects. Like, you know, they were some of the best people. They didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you know, when push came to shove, they were gonna have your back.
It takes a village. I
It
grew up
does.
in that. I was
It does.
there. I was that
Yeah.
guy in California. I know. We
See?
didn't have dinner one night. Neighbors got me. Vice versa. You know what I mean? Kids needed to get home or do whatever, have whatever. They got us like we had them. That's how it worked.
You had that one lady in the community or in the building. She's watching like 30 kids and stuff. Or like, and see, this is gonna be really telling. This is gonna be really telling. I remember as a little kid, you know, my grandmother taking me to a rent party.
Yeah.
Rent party was, you know, somebody couldn't pay their rent, so the community got together. They threw a party, and that was how, like, you know, the beneficiary of that party was gonna be able to pay her rent.
Come on, that's real. A lot of people don't understand that, man. That's real. That's not like what do you call it? What's the thing they got going on now where it's you know, you got the people can go send you money or whatever the case may be. It's
like those GoFundMe things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and look, I'm a big fan of social activism. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're talking about realistically, the Choose Life song is in its way social activism. I'm trying to help people via the song. We've partnered up with the Advocacy Recovery Network, and you know, a big chunk of the proceeds are going to go there. Right. So that is social advocacy. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm a big fan of it. But to your point, because I'm 100% in agreement with you, we sort of lost something. We've lost something, that personal connection here. That, you know, the rent party was personal. You see what I'm saying? You went to that person's house and you threw a few dollars in the plate at the door so that they could make some money. Or, you know, out in California, y'all have y'all version of it out there, but it's, you know, it's community. And it does take a village. It really does. It takes a village, because nobody knows everything. Nobody has everything. Nobody is capable of doing everything. So, you know, that, and see, to me, that's one of the things that music has been really, really good about, because it pulls people together. Like, you know, I may not know you. I may not like your politics, or I may not like your skin color, but we can connect over, we like a song. We both like the same track. Or quite frankly, we might even connect over both disliking the same track.
There you go.
But
that's right.
But it's something that forms a connection that we can build off of. And I think that's important. I really do. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen when people no longer connect? Like, you know, like I said, I grew up in large part, I was a military brat, but when I was home in New York, it was in the projects. And I'm not going to kid you. I've seen some scary things, right? Some things that, you know, probably no one should ever have to see.
Yeah.
But you want to know one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen? And this was in a suburban supermarket. 2 girls, thankfully not my daughters this time, but 2 girls walking down the aisle, right? Texting.
Yeah.
And they were texting each other. I was like, oh my God. And it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
you know, you're watching, and then one of them would chuckle, the other one would chuckle, and you know, you're sort of looking like something strange here, and it takes you kind of
that's
a
a
second to
weird way to
figure out.
communicate when you're right there.
They
Weird.
were texting back and forth to each other, and I was like,
Mm-mm.
"This is terrifying," and I really was afraid because I was like, "This is the direction that we're going in."
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but it is 100% true. I've been in my own house, right? And my daughter's, you know, in her room and so on and so forth. And I'll text her as opposed to, like, you know, back in the
Oh
day.
man, come on, man. We've done that, man. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Hey, DY, would you rather have that, or would you rather go backwards and be like, depending on like where you were in your household with your folks or whatever, you know, would you rather have those moments where, you know, one of your parents was like, "Hey, can you come in and change the channel?" You know that happened, man. You know that
yes,
happened.
it did. Yes, it did happen. Absolutely. You know what? You know what? It's like,
come on, DY, you know this. You know this.
Yo,
and you know how,
true.
Man, for me, I was like, man, why I gotta come all the way over there just to change a damn channel? I'm saying this all to myself. I'm not saying it to them.
Yeah, nah.
Even if you came in, listen, if you came in with bad energy, they gonna make you wait. Hey, change to 7. All right, hold on, wait a minute. All right, change to 5. All right, wait. Where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Nah, no bad energy, man. You had to came with good energy.
But you know what, though? You know what? Because that's so funny. That's so funny. Because that literally happened to me many a times. I remember thinking that the remote control was the greatest invention in human history. Because
yes, sir.
My mom was pretty good about, hey, come in here and change that channel. I'm like, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. As annoying as that was, and I'm not gonna kid you out. When you first said it, I was like, "Oh, I remember that." And I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna get my daughters to do that, just for fun. But there was also that human connection, though. It brought you in the room with
true.
mama, grandmama, whatever.
True. That's right.
And like some of the and I admit I didn't appreciate it at the time, but some of the greatest, pearls of wisdom that I've ever learned, came during times like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you first said that, the thing that hit me, my mom called me in the room one time to do something like that. I don't think it was change the TV, but it was sort of like, hey, come get this and take it in the kitchen type of thing, and it led to a conversation. You ever had one of those conversations that really changes the course of your life? It doesn't seem like it at the moment, but in retrospect, it turns into one of those conversations.
Yeah.
I remember going in the room and, the show 60 Minutes was on, right? 60 Minutes was on. And they were talking about child abuse, right? And so now, let me be clear. Not now or not ever was I an abused child, okay? I was not. All due respect to my mom, God bless the dead. I was never an abused child. But that said, the way, Picasso could paint or Mozart could compose, that's my mom with the belt. She was a master with it, right? And so, I got spankings, I got beatings with the belt when I was a kid. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
So when I walked in and I saw that thing on about child abuse, I was joking with my mom. I was joking. I was like, yo, Mom, according to the show here, I think I was an abused child, right? Now, this is, this is in my early, maybe mid-20s, whatever. And I said, Ma, I think I was an abused child according to this show. And I was joking, 100%. I was joking. But my mom didn't laugh. She,
Right.
she sat back and she thought about it for a minute. And she said, well, you know what? I don't think you're an abused child. She was like, but even if you were an abused child, she said, look at where you grew up. She's like, you've never been in any serious trouble. You've, she's like, you graduated from high school. You went to a good college. You went to law school. You went to business school. She's like, you have a good job, right? She was like, so by anybody's definition, she was like, by anybody's definition, forget just Black people. She's like, by anybody's definition,
Right.
you are a success story. She's like, so if you were an abused child, she's like, I don't think you were. She's like, but if you were an abused child, she's like, guess what? You know what? I did my job. She's like, I did my job. Because for the majority of the time that I was growing up, my mom was a single mom, right? So she said, I did my job. And that honestly, I believe, changed so much of my opinions on life, but most especially about parenting.
Right.
Because that was the first time I had ever heard anyone refer to parenting as exactly what it is. It's a job. Okay, it's a job. It's a job that hopefully you love, but it's a job. And like any other job, you can either do it well or you can do it poorly.
That's true.
And so, and I'm so glad that she said it that way, because it changed my perspective. It really did. It was like, and this was years before I had my own kids, but from that day forward, I've looked at parenting as a job that I was going to be successful at, or at least I was going to do everything in my power to try to be successful at it.
Right.
Okay? Right. There are things outside of your control and whatever. But I made a pledge to myself that very day. I'm going to do everything in my control to try and be a good parent. I'm going to try and be, and no disrespect to my dad. No disrespect to my dad, because he and I got closer when I got older. But I did used to say, I want to be a better father than the father that I had, right? And, according to his age and stage and time and so on and so forth, he was probably a better father to me than the father that he had, because, it was a different time and different generation, whatever. Yeah. But either way, so like, that was one of those pivotal conversations about doing my job as a father. Now, while that is such a serious topic, and believe me, I would never advocate any child ever being abused. And again, I was not abused. I really was. I got plenty of spankings.
Right.
But let's be clear. My mom probably owes me a few spankings for things that she didn't find out about. So,
right.
Let's be honest with that. But it's also led to some comical moments. It really has. Like when I first bought my house, right? When I first bought my house, and I remember this because it was so crazy. I first bought my house, I think we closed on the house on maybe a Tuesday. That first weekend, we had a barbecue for all of our friends and stuff. There wasn't even any furniture in the house, right?
Yeah.
We were sitting around and folding chairs and stuff inside the house and stuff. And my daughter's mom, one of her best friends was a social worker. And she came over to the house for the barbecue and stuff like that. Just, again, years before I even had children.
Mm-hmm.
And so somehow, some way, someone brings up, oh, well, you guys bought this house and everything. Y'all must be thinking about having kids, whatever. because we moved from the apartment in the city to the house in the suburbs, whatever. So that started the whole kid conversation, and I must have told the story that I just told about the whole abuse thing, and I was like, yeah, it's okay to discipline your children.
Yeah.
Again, I'm never advocating abusing your children,
Of
but
course.
I do think it's a parent's job to discipline their children.
Yep.
So the lady said, she was like, yo, well, if I ever see you spanking your children, I'll report you to the, whatever the child social agency is.
Yeah.
Dude, this is years before I had my own children. I was like, but my response to her was, well, number one, I appreciate you, trying to look out for my children. Number one. Number two, I would never, ever allow you or anyone else to get into my parental role.
Amen.
So with that, I will kindly ask you to please leave my home right now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm dead serious. I asked the lady, I was like, so please leave my house right now, so we won't ever have to worry about you ever having to report me.
There you go.
And so everybody, because there's probably like 20 people sitting around listening to this conversation. Everybody, you ever been in one of those situations where it's kind of like, I don't know whether I should laugh or not.
I know.
This is like, like, so
right.
Everybody was waiting to see. Well, I started smiling like, ha ha ha, I'm just kidding. But I was dead serious. I was like, leave now. And so this was one of, my wife's best friends, because I think we had just gotten married or whatever. And so she's sitting there looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just gonna have to take this one on the chin later on. But she got to go now.
Right.
And so I was like, no, I'm dead serious. She got to go right now. And it was funny because the lady had just gotten engaged or something. So I was like, to her fiance, I'm like, listen, I know I'm putting you in a difficult spot, dude. I'm really sorry about this, but you can stay if you want. Mm-hmm. But she got to go.
Mm-hmm.
So the lady left. I mean, they left. And I regret how that happened. I don't regret what I did, because it was a matter of principle.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't letting her or anyone else undercut my parental responsibilities as far as I saw. And again, this was years before I even had kids. But I regret it because it ended up costing them their friendship. But I mean, that's how seriously I think everyone should take it. If you're lucky.
And you have to respect the energy that's, I mean, you just bought a new home too. So, I don't care if it's like a future conversation about something that might happen 10 years from now. If it's not good energy, in your opinion, at that particular time, you gotta protect your house.
Well,
period.
Well, I agree with that 100%. In any way, shape, or form, I definitely agree with that. But I also think, you know what? Here's what it really comes down to. I think it's unfortunate. I really do. I think it's unfortunate that we live in a world where, and this kind of goes back to social media in a way, but maybe in a bigger thing, where everyone feels entitled to have an opinion on your life when they don't have to bear the consequences of it.
Right.
So, like, and this is just my personal opinion, my own personal opinion, and no disrespect to anyone who has a different opinion. But I believe if I'm going to have an opinion and somehow or another assert my opinion into your situation, then I should also bear some of the consequences of that opinion.
That's true.
For example, if I'm going to tell you how to raise your kid, then I need to be prepared to be there. Like if that God forbid the consequences go bad. If I tell you don't spank your child, and I mean God forbid, right? Because I would never hope bad things on anyone. But let's say if I'm telling you, oh no, you can't spank your child, you can't discipline your child. Okay, well, when your child grows up with no discipline, and I'm making this up, but goes out and gets arrested for something, well, then I should be there to help pay for the legal fees and post bail and do X, Y, and Z. See, but that's not the way the world works. See, people have opinions, and then if you follow those opinions and bad things happen,
come on, you said it.
Those same people that had all those opinions, they ain't nowhere to be found to deal with the consequences.
It's just like relationships, man. Like you post your stuff up. I don't want your opinion about my relationships. Just don't. Those are some things you need to stay out of. Not just common courtesy, but just the way of life. Like I don't want you to trample over anything. Even if you ask me about something, you know what? At the end of the day, you're going to go your path. I'm not going to give you any advice on some things. I'm not even going to tell you what I would do for this reason. Because if I do that, then you're going to emulate that, and it don't work. You're going to come bring that back on me, and it's going to be a problem. But that's why people need to stay out of people's business.
Well,
period.
Some of the best advice I got when I was younger on the relationship tip, was from an older dude, right? And he said, and I don't remember whether we were talking about social media or not, or just life in general, but it applies to social media very definitely. He said, the best way to keep people out your business is don't tell them your business.
There you go. There you go.
It's just that simple. Don't tell them, because see, if you don't tell them your business, it's harder for them to get into it.
That's it.
See, but that's exactly what social media is not. You're going out of your way to tell everybody your business. Yeah. And it's like
all of it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I want to be clear because I can see the DMs now. He hates social media, so let's cancel him and teach him a lesson. No, I don't hate social media. What I do, what I'm advocating, and what I think you're advocating is, listen, I think we're both saying that people should understand that, number one, social media can be destructive. It's not always destructive. It's not.
No doubt.
There's a whole bunch of good that comes from social media, without question. The access to information, the ability to connect with people around the world, the ability to connect with like-minded souls in a global way, as long as it's positive and it brings good energy with it. All of that is wonderful. I think you and I are both only talking about the bad things that can come from social media, how to manage or try and avoid the bad that comes.
And it can be a blessing and a curse, but also it can be addictive as well. So you got to make sure you time manage yourself to the point where you don't live through social media. You just want to add on to it, and a lot of people fail to realize that. And we could tell a whole bunch of stories about the stuff we see and why it is where it is or whatnot. Like, man, come on, you already know. But I will say this as we get ready to close it down, because I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours about everything. You know what I mean? But now I know you mentioned social media as well. So where are you at social media wise? What's your handles? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok.
You know what? It's scary that all of those are out there like that. But like on the screen right there, it's D.Y McDaniels 16 at Instagram, D.Y McDaniels 16 at TikTok, D.Y McDaniels 16.com for the website. Same thing for Facebook and so on and so forth. So you can check it out. You can follow me on all of those things. The song is available at it's on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, it's at YouTube Music, all of your places that you would normally stream things. The song is there, and again, the proceeds, or a big chunk of the proceeds, will go to the Advocate Recovery Network, which they do great suicide prevention work, and they have the call-in lines, and they have the professionals who are there to help people through these difficult times. And so again, shout out to the folks over at Double Exposure Media, because they helped put this together, and it was such a great idea, because God willing, the song will go viral.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But God willing, but even beyond that, the sharing of the proceeds with them, so that, because they have the resources to really go out there and help more people. So that was just such a great idea. So shout out again to Angelo LSB and Kevin Goins.
Yep.
So the song's out there. Please also, though, please, and this is a personal request. Please, folks, go check out the videos that we did. We did 2 videos on it. We did the normal, Choose Life video. And so you can either go on YouTube, you can go to D.Y McDaniels 16. That's like my personal page. And the videos are there. It's probably the fastest and easiest way to get to the videos. So there's the normal video, I guess, or the adult version video. And then we did a second child video. And that child video is the video that we're using, and various educational institutions have looked at it and really saw value in it, and so they're working it into their curriculums. We're trying to work it out, and hopefully we'll be able to get it incorporated into the CARES program. Cool. Like Susan Taylor formerly of Essence Magazine, she runs the CARES program, so we're trying to get it incorporated into there. And anyone, because this is, at the end of the day, we want to help people with this track and with the videos and stuff. We want people to share the video, and if you have an organization that you think can help or can utilize the video, reach out to us. It's free. We're not charging people for it. We just want people to see it, and we're trying to genuinely help people through, deal with the pain that they're going through, especially the kids. And I do have as a father, I have obviously a personal sensitivity, because kids should not be killing themselves. Suicide should not be the leading cause of death for anyone,
Agreed.
But most especially not kids. And that's Black kids, white kids, everybody's kids.
Everybody.
That's a horrifying and a terrifying number. So so with that, and I'm sorry, that was a long answer, but I had to put that personal plea.
No, that's perfect. DYMcDaniels16.com is the website. I'll make sure that I put it on my website on Nexxlegacy.com as well. Blast out all social media things. I bought the single twice. I suggest everybody to go do the same. It's love, man. And not only that, you're giving back. I believe in paying it forward. I believe having moments like this, we paying it forward. We're letting somebody else know that it's important for them to look at themselves and take care of themselves too. So, pay it forward is why we here, man. It's what we do. It's what
absolutely. And you know what? I'll be the first one to admit it. So, and I think we started this way, so we can end it this way. So many people I've been blessed to be around and know so many people that have helped me in my journey. So this is just an opportunity to hopefully help some other people in their journeys. So if that's paying it forward, because I've never been clear on whether it's paying it forward or giving back, but either way, whatever it is, if we can, I guess it is paying it forward. Thank you. You finally cleared that up for me.
It's 2 truths at that too. We are giving back. But paying it forward means you got something forward to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like I kind of tend to use it that way, because sometimes paying when you pay somebody back, what are we doing? Are we going backwards or are we going forward? What are we doing right now? So
good point. Good point. So you know what? We're paying it forward, and you know what? We're helping people, man. Because I have never ever met a person, and I don't care who they are. And I've known some really, really successful people, some really, really wealthy people. But if they're being honest, no one has ever done it all by themselves.
Nah, never.
It's not possible. So, you know, everybody everybody gets help from somebody. Everybody needs help from somebody. And as long as we remember that, then we can put ourselves in both positions. Number one, it makes it okay to ask for help.
That's right.
And it makes it okay to give help.
There you go.
And so, you know, that's that community. Like, you know, it really does take a village. It really does. So, you know,
people help people. Damn, what a concept.
I know, right?
Like, who knew?
So, man, yo, we're living in some funny times. We really are.
But you know what? If we shedding this kind of light towards others, I feel like the more we do that, the more we can inspire other people to get out of their collective shells and get back to what matters. And I think this is the kind of dialogue we have. D.Y, I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me.
I had fun. I feel like we could talk more, so we got to have a part 2 on this because there's so much more, man, I could throw out there, and you and I are gonna have some kind of conversation about. But part 2, man, we got to do that coming soon. So
listen, let me know. Let me know when you want to do it. I'm telling you right now, I'm in. So
I appreciate that.